Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we delve into Chatter by Ethan Kross, a profound exploration of the inner voice that often morphs into our toughest critic. Published in 2021, this book uses findings from numerous studies to offer effective techniques for silencing the negative murmurs that incessantly whirl through our minds. Ethan Kross, a distinguished scholar from the University of Pennsylvania and Columbia University, currently directs the Emotion and Self-Control Laboratory at the University of Michigan. His insights into the workings of the human mind have been featured in prominent publications such as the New York Times, the New Yorker, and the Wall Street Journal. Kross also has provided policy recommendations to the White House, underscoring his profound impact on contemporary psychological thought. Chatter is particularly suited for those who struggle to find mental peace, individuals looking to support their loved ones more effectively, and anyone fascinated by the intricacies of brain behavior. Join us as we explore how to transform your inner dialogue from crippling to empowering, fostering a healthier, more vibrant mental landscape. Chatter, the voice in our head, why it matters, and how to harness it. Introduction. Turning down the volume on your internal monologue. In an age where being mindful and present is promoted extensively, we find ourselves somewhat paradoxically immersed in constant internal conversations. Our inner voices, those nagging narrators that analyze our every step and decision, can dominate our mental landscape. This trait is unique to humans, a precious gift of evolution that allows us the rare power of introspection. While the ability to engage in self-reflection is undoubtedly valuable, facilitating profound insights and better decisions, it also has its pitfalls. All too often, this introspection can spiral into what psychologists call chatter, a relentless stream of negative thoughts and worry that can incapacitate even the best of us. Ironically, the solution to quieting this internal noise doesn't require external tools, but lies within our own brains. This section dives into practical strategies to transform your inner critic into an empowering ally. You will discover how specific thinking tactics can create the necessary psychological distance from distressing thoughts, why immersing yourself in nature can significantly boost your mental energy, and how choosing the right confidants plays a crucial role in managing personal tribulations effectively. Through these insights, you'll learn not just to silence the chatter, but to channel your internal dialogue into a supportive, constructive voice. Part 1. The evolutionary roots and power of our inner voice. It's a universal human experience, the silent yet powerful voice inside our heads guiding, questioning, and incessantly chatting. Surprisingly, it operates at an astonishing pace, with studies showing inner speech can run at approximately 4,000 words per minute. That's a speed that far surpasses our verbal articulation, transforming a 1-hour monologue into a mere 15-minute internal dialogue. Historically, even the early mystics and devout practitioners across various cultures grappled with their intrusive thoughts during meditation, illustrating that our inner voice is a deeply rooted aspect of the human psyche. Intriguingly, individuals who stutter outwardly often report a fluent inner voice, and even those who are deaf use sign language in their internal dialogues, confirming the universality and adaptability of this inner voice. But why do we have this relentless mental narrator? Evolutionarily, our cognitive chatter served a fundamental survival function to process our experiences, learn from past actions, and anticipate future scenarios. The real twist in the tale of human evolution comes with the development of introspection, uniquely positioning us to find deeper meanings and patterns in life. Introspective abilities allow us to modify behaviors, strategize future actions, and evolve from past experiences, providing a distinct evolutionary advantage. From infancy onwards, our blossoming inner voice begins as external chatter, often guided by the voices of caregivers. Famous psychologist Lev Vygotsky observed young children talking to themselves, a mechanism for emotional and behavioral regulation borrowed from external cues, which then internalizes as they mature. This inner dialogue continues to serve as a mental coach in adulthood, walking us through potential scenarios and keeping our goals in sharp focus, whether it's strategizing a career move or crafting the perfect message to a potential romantic partner. Beyond its functional benefits, our internal voice is instrumental in crafting our self-identity. Through introspection, we stitch together the narratives of our lives, finding coherence and meaning in our existence. This narrative construction is not just about self-perception. It influences our resilience, values, and the way we navigate life's challenges. Ultimately, our inner voice is not just a background noise or a mental distraction. It's a crucial architect of our identity and a cornerstone of human survival and evolution. Part 2. How mental chatter hampers our ability to function. Picture trying to remember a telephone number. Which format seems easier to recall? 800 520 6755 or 800 520 6755? Naturally, the first option appears simpler because it breaks down the information into manageable chunks. This mirrors a broader principle about how our minds operate, handling only 3 to 5 items at a time under the best conditions. Yet when incessant inner chatter clutters our thoughts, this capability diminishes sharply. Our cognitive system functions somewhat like a computer, with a clear capacity to concentrate on pertinent details, ignore distractions, and channel energy towards specific tasks, ranging from composing an email to preparing a sophisticated dish. These executive functions spring into action when simple instinct falls short of what's needed for complex activities. Nonetheless, just like a digital processor overwhelmed by too many commands, excessive rumination can drain the neurological resources necessary for these high-level tasks. Think about struggling to focus on a book while reeling from a recent argument. That's your brain on chatter overload. The profound impact of mental chatter goes beyond cognitive disruption. It also invades our social interactions. In research dating back to the 1980s by psychologist Bernard Rhyme, it was observed that people naturally feel compelled to vocalize negative thoughts. This drive to get it all out can, paradoxically, strain relationships, especially when one's need to share overwhelms the reciprocal need to listen. What's meant as a bid for comfort can inadvertently push others away. Moreover, the stakes are even higher when considering the physical health implications of sustained mental chatter. A pivotal MRI study I conducted in 2007 shed light on the shared neural pathways activated by both physical and emotional pain. Just as worryingly, it revealed that emotional distress, much like physical pain, triggers stress responses that, if chronic, can seed serious illnesses such as cardiovascular disease and cancer. This body of evidence underscores a crucial point. The more we succumb to internal noise, and the more we attempt to diffuse it through social interactions, the greater the toll on our well-being. Chatter doesn't just disrupt, it isolates and harms, making its management not just beneficial, but essential. Part 3. Finding relief from mental chatter through the power of distance. In the mid-19th century, Abraham Lincoln faced a deeply personal conflict. He was engaged, but had fallen for another woman. Fast forward some years, and Lincoln, happily married, offered sage advice to his friend Joshua Speed, who found himself in a similar quandary. Lincoln's ability to guide his friend came from the vital psychological tool of distancing himself from the emotional tangle of his past. This illustrates a fundamental truth about managing our inner turmoil. Gaining perspective by stepping back is often the quickest way to quiet mental chatter. When we're enveloped in emotional distress, our focus narrows alarmingly, magnifying feelings of anxiety and depression. This zooming in triggers a stress response, compelling us even closer to the problem and stripping away our ability to see the broader picture. The key here is this: mastering the art of distancing can swiftly diminish the volume of mental chatter. Imagine handling a distressing memory by visualizing it as if it were playing out on your phone's screen. Now envision seeing it happen to someone else, placing yourself as an observer or a fly on the wall. This method, proven in various psychological studies, offers people enhanced clarity and significantly reduces stress and emotional reactivity. During a fascinating study conducted before the 2008 US election, participants visualized living abroad and hearing news of their preferred candidate's defeat. This mindset encouraged a more cooperative stance towards supporters of the opposing candidate. Similarly, when people imagined a friend experiencing relationship betrayal, they advised compromise more readily than if they were personally involved. Another powerful strategy is temporal distancing, where one thinks about how insignificant a current stressor, such as a work deadline, will seem in a decade. This perspective not only applies to mundane daily stresses, but also to more profound crises. For instance, reflecting on how societies have historically overcome pandemics can offer reassurance that even monumental challenges like COVID-19 will eventually recede into normalcy. By consistently practicing these methods of distancing, we cultivate a capacity to see situations from a broader, more detached viewpoint, akin to how we appraise others' challenges. This detachment is not just about emotional control, it is the pathway to wisdom, anchored in recognizing the big picture and the limits of our own knowledge. Through this lens, every personal crisis becomes less a torment and more a manageable situation, framed within the wide expanse of human experience. Part 4: Transforming Inner Turmoil with Distanced Self-Talk. In 1979, the beloved children's show host Fred Rogers, creator of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, penned a revealing letter to himself. It started with a self-questioning, "Am I kidding myself?" filled with doubts about his capabilities. Yet, as the letter concluded, a notable shift occurred. Rogers wrote, "The hour cometh, and now I've got to do it. Get to it, Fred." This shift to addressing himself in the third person wasn't just a quirky writing style. Rather, Fred Rogers was intuitively employing what psychologists call distanced self-talk, a proven strategy to manage emotional stress and enhance personal reasoning. By referring to himself by name, Rogers was helping to psychologically distance himself from the immediate pressures he felt. The central lesson here is, speaking to yourself as if you were someone else can significantly diminish emotional chatter. Typically, our internal chatter is dominated by the first-person I. Why did I react that way? Why did I make that mistake? This form, known as I talk, is often associated with heightened emotional distress and negative spirals. Research has linked excessive I talk with predictive signs of depression in social media behavior. However, fascinating research by the author demonstrates that adopting a more distanced self-talk perspective by using one's own name or shifting to second or third person pronouns can swiftly cool down our emotional responses. When tested using an electroencephalogram, which tracks brain activity, the effects of this distanced self-talk were evident within just a second, showing a rapid decrease in emotional intensity. Returning to Mr. Rogers, by framing his writing in the third person, he wasn't merely crafting a letter. He was psychologically converting the perception of an impending threat, failure, into a challenge. Viewing a situation as a challenge rather than a threat can shift our physiological responses too. In stressful situations, our arteries can constrict, yet in a challenge mindset, they tend to stay more relaxed. Moreover, adopting the universal you in conversations, a form that speaks to collective experiences rather than personal ones, can also be effective. Phrases like, you need to step back or you gotta keep your cool are pervasive in dialogues ranging from song lyrics to post-game sports interviews. This universal perspective helps to generalize the experience, reminding us that our challenges are not unique but shared, which can further help in reducing personal chatter. Through these linguistic shifts, not only can we mitigate the stress associated with internal chatter, but we can also embrace a more balanced, objective, and ultimately wiser approach to handling life's pressures. Part 5. Harmonizing emotional and cognitive support to quiet mental noise. In the harrowing aftermath of the shootings at Northern Illinois University and Virginia Tech in 2008, researchers at the University of Illinois sought to understand how students coped with the immense grief. Many turned to Facebook groups, pouring out their emotions in digital solidarity. Initially, this sharing seemed comforting, yet over time, it failed to alleviate deeper issues of depression and PTSD. This discovery leads to a puzzling question. Isn't expressing our emotions supposed to be therapeutic? Renowned thinkers like Aristotle and Freud advocated for emotional purging to heal the psyche, an idea ingrained from infancy as we cry and seek comfort from our caregivers. So, why does openly sharing our struggles sometimes leave us feeling worse? The core of the issue lies in this vital lesson. To effectively reduce chatter, it's essential to satisfy both our emotional and cognitive needs. On an emotional level, expressing feelings can be soothing. It signals to our system that we are cared for, triggering the release of comforting biochemicals. However, solely finding empathetic ears is not enough when dealing with persistent internal chatter. We also crave cognitive closure, insights that help us view our situation from a new perspective. Unfortunately, our natural bias is towards seeking empathy, which often leads to co-rumination. This process involves repeatedly discussing and dissecting distressing experiences without progressing towards resolution, inadvertently deepening the emotional wounds. To counter this, the approach needs to be twofold. Just as the FBI has developed for hostage negotiations, integrating active listening with strategic empathy can foster rapport while subtly directing towards behavioral shifts. This method doesn't just validate feelings, it also encourages a constructive change in perspective. When seeking support, it's beneficial to look for individuals who do more than just sympathize. They should also challenge and guide you towards understanding and overcoming your issues. Moreover, just like companies have varied specialists on a board, it helps to cultivate a diverse board of advisors in your personal life who excel in different areas. This ensures you have the right counsel for distinct types of challenges, whether they be personal, professional, or otherwise. Balancing emotional comfort with insightful guidance can transform how you manage internal chatter, turning overwhelming noise into manageable signals that guide rather than govern your life. Part 6. How connecting with nature quiets our internal chatter. Back in the 1990s, a revealing study by University of Illinois researcher Ming Kuo indicated that residents of Chicago housing projects who had views of greenery from their windows exhibited better attention spans and more positive thinking. This finding was further bolstered by similar studies in England and Canada, all pointing to a simple yet profound truth. Exposure to natural environments significantly boosts happiness. But what is it about nature that has such a calming effect on our mental chatter? The key insight here is engaging with the outside world, particularly natural settings, can effectively reduce mental chatter. Our attention can be divided into two types: voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary attention demands effort and deliberate focus, like solving a puzzle or navigating traffic, which can be mentally draining. In contrast, involuntary attention is effortless, summoned naturally by captivating phenomena such as stunning landscapes or captivating sunsets, and it replenishes our mental energy. In the 1970s, psychologists Stephen and Rachel Kaplan theorized that nature restores our attention by engaging our involuntary focus. It's not just the serenity of natural settings that captivates us, but their inherent ability to inspire awe, a potent emotion that lifts us out of our mundane concerns and provides a respite for our overworked brains. This theory has been supported by numerous studies showing that just a brief walk in a park can enhance cognitive performance on subsequent tasks. This implies that without the ability to relax and recharge our focus, managing internal chatter would be much harder. The feeling of awe and the resultant mental quiet can occur in various scenarios, not just in natural settings. It can come from experiencing art, witnessing a significant human achievement, or any event that profoundly shifts our perspective. Moreover, creating a sense of external order can similarly help quiet the mind. For instance, tennis star Rafael Nadal is known for his meticulous pre-game routines, which include arranging his water bottles precisely. This isn't just superstition, it's a deliberate method to tame his internal dialogue by channeling his focus into controlled actions. These principles extend beyond acute situations. The simple act of organizing our physical spaces can be therapeutic. It not only brings about a sense of control and calm, but also reinforces our confidence in our ability to achieve goals, thereby motivating us to persist in our efforts. In essence, whether through immersing ourselves in nature, marveling at life's wonders, or creating order around us, we can effectively dial down the volume of our internal chatter and foster a more focused, positive mind. Part 7. The persuasive power of belief in enhancing well-being. Back in the 18th century, Franz Mesmer claimed to cure a pianist's blindness using what he termed animal magnetism, which intriguingly involved magnets and elaborate narratives. Although later discredited and deemed a charlatan, Mesmer unintentionally showcased the potent influence of the placebo effect. The concept of placebos, commonly associated with medical trials, is just one facet of the broader human tendency to assign healing powers to various objects and rituals throughout history. From the revered seal of King Solomon, thought to protect against demons during medieval times, to modern superstitions like Michael Jordan wearing his college shorts for good luck, the underlying principle remains consistent. If we believe something can improve our condition, it often does. Here's the essence. Belief alone can significantly ameliorate both physical discomfort and emotional distress. This phenomenon is rooted in the brain's reliance on prediction for basic functioning, such as navigating a walk. Similarly, when we anticipate that a specific action, like taking a pill, will alleviate pain, our mental state adjusts to reflect this expectation, thereby initiating relief. Our adherence to such beliefs is often the product of cultural and familial influences, manifesting through various rituals. These can range from global mourning practices to personal pre-game routines of renowned athletes like Wade Boggs, or daily affirmations similar to those Steve Jobs practiced. The author describes rituals as a chatter-reducing cocktail, effective for several reasons. Firstly, engaging in a ritual can divert our focus from the distressing issue at hand, lowering anxiety. Additionally, the controlled nature of rituals provides a psychological sense of order and predictability. Lastly, the symbolic meanings attached to rituals reinforce our connection to personal values and the broader community, which can diminish feelings of isolation. Implementing personal rituals can be as simple as adhering to a small routine when faced with stress. For instance, when the author finds himself grappling with a tough problem while working, he turns to doing the dishes, a ritualistic break that helps manage mental chatter. Ultimately, these practices, whether recognized as placebos or rituals, serve a vital function by creating a buffer between us and our internal chatter. They remind us that while our incessant inner dialogue is a natural part of the human cognitive experience, it doesn't have to govern our emotional state or quality of life. Final summary. All too often, the complexities and pressures of life amplify our internal dialogues to an overwhelming volume. However, gaining perspective, either by rethinking our approach or altering our surroundings, can significantly mitigate the intensity of this mental chatter. By consciously stepping back to view our predicaments within a broader context, we can substantially reduce their perceived magnitude. Whether it's through physical relocation, such as immersing ourselves in nature, or through mental strategies like employing distanced self-talk or embracing the reassuring routine of personal rituals, these methods all serve to create psychological space between us and our worries. This space allows us to see beyond the immediacy of our troubles, reminding us of a larger world where our problems, no matter how daunting, are just one part of a vast tapestry of human experience. In essence, the ability to place our issues within a greater narrative not only makes them appear less formidable, but also helps us navigate through them with greater ease, resilience, and wisdom. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.